So this mongoose, we'll get to it, but he was said to be very intelligent, but apparently he spells his name in the easiest possible way. Whatever. So our story begins in the autumn of 1931. The Irving family, which was James, Margaret, and their daughter, how do we pronounce it? Voirrey.
We had to look up the pronunciation online.
Voirrey. R-R-E-Y, yeah. Voirrey. They noticed a strange animal in their farmyard, which was, quote, similar in appearance to a weasel, with a small body, long bushy tail, flat nose, and yellow in color, end quote. It is noted, and we got most of our information from this report that some guy did, he went in and what did you know a little bit more about it?
He went through the archives because they have all the letters saved from the family, and it was like this little hubaloo in the Isle of Man at the time. So a lot of it was recorded in the newspapers and stuff.
Yeah, it was really popular. Everyone was like, oh my god, a talking mongoose. I want to see it and hear it and what?
And later they actually had trouble selling the house because it was known to be haunted by a fucking talking mongoose.
Yep. So it is noted that when they first saw it, they were like, oh yeah, that's an animal I've never seen before, but whatever. They weren't even concerned. They were just like, oh, there's a thing I've never seen. And then it came into the house, and then it kept them up at night by, quote, blowing, spitting, and growling around their house.
Were they still calm during this?
Yeah, they were tiny home invasion.
They were just like, oh, all right, this thing is in our house now, making these weird noises. Then it started to mimic other animal noises, and then it started to sing nursery rhymes.
Oh my gosh.
In English.
Which is terrifying because I'm imagining the itsy bitsy spider discordantly coming down from your ceilings.
Well, this thing also had a voice that was 2 octaves above human voices, so it was really high. And it's just singing nursery rhymes. Oh yeah, here it is. Its voice was really high, and it had, quote, a sufficiently wide vocabulary, end quote. And it started to talk with the family after it sang the nursery rhymes.
It was like, want some feedback? How was it? Was I a little pitchy? Was it on key?
Please be honest. I take constructive criticism really well.
He's trying out for American Idol.
He needs it. Jesus. I have no words for this. I just wrote that in my notes. I was like, I really have no words. I don't even know what to say.
I also see you wrote what the fuck actually at the end of one.
Yes, that one's coming up. Yep, here it is. Okay, so news traveled about this weasel, and it came about that it was saying it was, quote, the ghost of a weasel, and I will haunt you with weird noises and clanking chains, end quote. And that's where I wrote what the fuck actually.
It's watched The Christmas Carol, and that's the only context for ghost house.
That's the only thing that it knows.
It's just clanking chains.
I'm like, where are the chains coming from? That's my question.
I don't know.
Chained up a weasel, and
it's the ghost of the chained weasel of Isle of Man.
Or it's just really into S&M. It's chained. Well, I sing you nursery rhymes.
Oh my god.
I can't do this. I can't do this fucking story. Okay. But then later it described itself as, quote, just a little extra clever mongoose, end quote. And I put, figure it out. What the fuck are you? Are you a mongoose? Are you a ghost? Please be clear.
He did say, too, that he was born in New Delhi in the 1800s.
I did see that in the 1800s, yeah.
And so it's a talking mongoose who was born in New Delhi in the 1800s and then traveled to the Isle of Man and British areas and
just decided to haunt this family with non-existent chains and singing and sitting and spitting and I don't know. That's why I'm telling her to figure it out. So originally Miss Irving said there was nothing paranormal about it. Even though in some instances Jeff appeared to be invisible, apparently. There was one night...
How do you appear to be invisible? Doesn't appearing require you to...
Be visible.
Be visible.
Yeah. You'd think an English teacher wouldn't write in, such confusing ways. But hey, here I am. A beer and a half in, and he appeared to be disappeared.
This is the woman that's teaching your children, high school English.
That's okay. They don't know how to spell appeared, so it doesn't fucking matter, okay? Anyway, there was one night where the parents had to move Vori's bed into their room because Jeff was chasing her around through the walls, I guess, and they couldn't figure out where he was at all, and his voice was just coming from all over the place, and he just kept saying, quote, I'll follow her wherever you move her.
can't imagine
That's
that.
not terrifying.
It's
at
fucking
all.
terrifying. So that brings me to my next point, that sometimes he was cool with the family, and like the Irvings were like, yeah, it's just this cool weasel. And other times he was like seriously fucked up and scary.
Well, because they did say he was like a guard dog. Like he supposedly, when like dogs that they didn't know or like people they didn't know would come up to the house, he would just be like, hey, 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 people. And like,
Yeah,
told
he'd be
them.
like, there are people here. But then there were also times when, you know, he would chase Foray around, or he would throw rocks at Margaret. Like, he was a dick.
What a bitch.
I know, like, I don't know what his deal is.
It sounds like he just thinks he owns the house.
Right? Like, I'll
it's his
protect you,
house.
fuck you. Like, okay.
Yeah.
There were some paranormal investigators and like psychic people that came to check out Jeff, but they never actually saw him. He didn't like to be seen or photographed, so they did hear him sometimes. And then Mr. Irving, James, he came up with some actual physical evidence. So he had a couple of things. He had some of Jeff's hair, some footprints, and some pictures of him as well. However, when they were examining the hair, it became very clear pretty quickly that it was from his dog, not a weird yellow mongoose. He just snipped some hair off his dog and was like, mongoose hair, dead.
Did he like even color it? Like,
Well, his
what does
dog
it meet
was,
the parents'
I saw a
style?
picture of his dog, and it was,
like a yellow sheep.
yeah, like a yellow sheepdog, so it fit.
Oh, so it actually was kind of.
It fit the color, but as soon as
Yeah.
they looked at it, they were like, this is fucking dog hair, bro. What are you doing?
I mean, I don't know what mongoose hair is supposed to.
I know, well, some experts did, so they were like,
We've owned a lot of rats in our lives because they're adorable, but they're
are
like
adorable.
soft and a little floofy.
yes.
So now I'm gonna take over. Sorry, I'm a lot louder than Sam is. So the paw prints and the teeth that they sent, because there were
were teeth marks, too, yeah.
So they sent these in to a specialist, and they did say that they were unidentifiable because he had these huge. Okay, sorry. Sam wrote big ass front paws.
He did.
And smaller back paws. And so the Irvings had claims that he had these large human-like hands, which what the actual living fuck?
That is terrifying. It's like raccoon.
Nightmare fuel. Yeah.
It's like a mongoose with giant human-sized hands. Just imagine them like brushing your face in the middle of the night.
I'd rather not.
Oh God.
I'm doing
singing to you.
I'm gonna do that.
Singing to you. Singing.
Hush
The wheels on the bus or some shit.
Looking into it further, though, they said that they were imprints that. Wait.
It didn't have the imprints that normal animal tracks would have. So you know, like how on your hands you have like your lines and your thumbprints and your fingerprints and shit. So animals also have like little, I don't know how to explain it. Do you know what I'm
Patterns.
talking about? Yeah, like
Yeah.
patterns on their paws and stuff. And this didn't have any of that, basically. It was just like really smooth.
Okay, so there was a quote from one of the specialists who saw it, though, who he was just like, yeah, these are really unidentifiable. I have no idea what this is, but conceivably, I guess it could have been made by a dog. So that backs up a little bit more of like when people were like, you sent us dog hair already.
Yes. But I also read that they looked like they just made it with sticks. Like they just kind of drew some fucking prints, you know, with a stick.
Okay, I can see that.
Yeah.
So, and then onto the pictures that they had. They were vague and kind of blurry, and it looked like they might have had a picture of a cat in a foxhole, and that's what they were trying to pass off as Jeff.
They were like, oh, it's just a cat tail and some fur, and like they were like looking at the picture and they were like, okay, that kind of looks like a head. But when they zoomed in, they were like, nope, that's just part of the foxhole, and his tail belongs to a cat. So what are we looking at?
And then the family insisted that he was real, even though, so a lot of people, like the theory was that Foray, the daughter, was really good at ventriloquism because the house, the walls had like this empty space between them. So they thought conceivably a voice could carry really well. And there was an instance where one of the guys there, paranormal people was there, and he saw her make a noise, and then the dad was like, no, that wasn't her, that was this noise from over here, and he's like, it definitely came out of her mouth. So there were a couple times where people did hear his voice when the daughter wasn't there, and one of them, particularly, who has come out to like talk about it and say he heard it, was a man by the name of Captain Dennis.
Captain
Dennis.
Very important.
A businessman and racing motorist.
Very credible.
Ooh.
I kind of wish that was my job.
Right?
Hi, like, I race these cars, and also I'm going to sell you insurance.
Car insurance.
Talking weasel insurance, duh. The reporter of the article said he didn't think that it was a ventriloquism thing because Mr. Irving had said that he spoke with Jeff alone on several occasions.
And there were like a lot of letters, like journal entries that he talked about it in as well.
Because he wrote to like other people, because all these letters are saved of him writing to other people being like, yo, there's a talking weasel in my home.
Help.
I would say, I feel like if there was a talking weasel in my house, I'd tell everybody, and literally people on the street.
I would capture it and be like, get the fuck out of my house.
I'm sorry, I would be the person who's like, I'm restarting freak shows, bitches.
No,
I was just gonna say, I don't know, you can make some money off of it.
Say it's like $5 and you can pet my weasel, and people
That
think it's one
sounds
thing.
wrong.
Exactly. That's how you reel them in.
That's how you get them. That's the hook.
Pet my weasel, and they're like, oh, it really is just a screaming weasel.
And then the weasel's like, bitch.
Let me sing to you the songs of my people. So there were a couple bus drivers who supposedly saw Jeff, which I think is interesting that it was bus drivers specifically, because apparently he liked to take the bus.
And wait, so you just would hop on the bus and
Just, it says here in spy on bus depot workers.
That's what it said in the article. He would take the bus to spy on the bus depot workers, and I don't know why.
I was just gonna say, what is he doing with this information? Who's he selling it to? Like, is there like a spy weasel commission? Is it like, what is it, on a Phineas and Ferb, like a Perry the Platypus? It's like that.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
I just think he's a dick. That's it.
He's like, I saw this man not use his turn signal. Can you fire him from the bus depot?
He's like, what can I possibly do just to make ruin humans' lives?
I think so.
I will sing creepily to them. I'm just gonna get really big hands, and I'm gonna spy on bus people.
I'm gonna fuck with the bus drivers. Fuck them.
He's using his giant hands as like a telescope, like holding them up to one eye.
No, absolutely not.
I hate Jeff so much.
Yeah, he's a dick. I told you.
And it did say that some of the bus drivers actually set up traps for him because he was so annoying. Which also can't be ventriloquism then, right?
Yeah, because they were literally like, fuck this thing. And they were talking to, what's his face about it? James. And they were like, can you handle this? And he's like, I don't know.
Take care of your weasel. Stop pulling it out on the bus. This is all this is. This whole story is actually one giant dick joke.
It could be, actually, because of one of the theories behind it later. You'll get there.
So Harry Prince, he is supposedly a famous ghost investigator. I have honestly never heard of him, but they spoke very highly of him in the articles that we read. And he thought it was all a hoax. And his theory is that they were all so lonely that they had a collective delusion.
Yep.
How is that a thing?
It's not.
And why would you have a collective delusion of that?
They know, right? Couldn't you come up with something a little better?
Right?
Like, my family sucks so bad that we have to make up a talking weasel so we don't have to do game nights together.
Yeah, right.
Actually, this is something that I would do.
Yeah, well, you're pretty special.
Oh my god. The name of the psychic is Fodor, but I just read it as Hodor.
And now I'm crying.
Yes. He concluded that he was just a talking animal and nothing paranormal. Wait, hold on.
Yep, just reread that sentence. Go ahead.
He concluded that he was indeed just a talking animal and nothing paranormal.
Yeah, just an animal that learned to talk.
That's it, nothing weird.
Yeah, no big deal. I see talking talks all the time.
I'm just saying.
I had to reread that, my god. And he also had a theory that Jeff was, and I did read a little bit about this, he was a split off of Mr. Irving's personality. So that, like, his personality took his own form.
Yeah, as a weasel, aka his dick.
You know what I'm going to say about
And he was a dick. It's all coming first, full circle right now.
You do know what I'm going to say about that, though, right? It's a fucking tulpa. It's just, like, real quick side note. They are, basically, tulpas are a being that's created out of the collective conscience. So, like, if you and I and Sam were all to focus on like creating a new being, like a talking weasel, and we spent all this time focusing on it, then eventually it would physically manifest itself. So that's how I explain everything.
It's basically like you believe something so bad and you think about it all the time and then it just like
It becomes real.
happens. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I think about like everything. I'm like, Jeff, Tulpa.
I mean, it is a pretty good explanation, not gonna lie.
I'm pretty sure Sam's my Tulpa, and I'm actually just like here by myself.
I hope not, because I really like my life.
With those theories, which they never did explain it, nobody can agree on what the hell Jeff is. I have some words of wisdom that someone pulled aside, and they're just a couple really fun quotes from Jeff, some things he said to the family or other people. I'm gonna pick 4 of them.
4 is my lucky number.
And the first one is Jeff, quote, "If you are kind to me, I will bring you good luck. If you are not kind, I shall kill all your poultry. I can get them wherever you put them." Jeff, just more proof that he's a total dick. Quote, "I'll split the atom. I am the 5th dimension. I am the 8th wonder of the world." Unquote. So, very full of himself.
Where did he even learn these things?
Apparently in the 1840s in New Delhi.
Okay, so this one too, which was a description of how he looked, because he explained this like before they decided he was a mongoose. So I don't know how they went from this to this, but he said, quote, "I am a freak. I have hands and I have feet, and if you saw me, you'd faint. You'd be petrified, mummified, turned into stone or a pillar of salt."
Oh, so he's Medusa now.
Now he's a mongoose with hands and also
And snakes
Medusa.
for hair.
Yeah.
They're just tiny snakes on his head.
Yes.
God,
That's fine.
that would be more terrifying.
That's fine. I love snakes.
Okay, sorry. I'm gonna do 2 more, but one's really short, because at one point he just said, "I could kill you all, but I won't."
Not surprised.
And then he started singing what? Like the Itsy Bitsy Spider.
Yeah, right?
But the last one I thought was very Dr. Seussian. He just said, quote, "If you knew what I know, you'd know a hell of a lot."
All right.
I mean, he spies on all the bus depot people, so he has to know something.
He knows a fuck ton.
He's like, "You have no idea what these busmen do in their free time."
Nope.
And really, they just hunt weasels.
Basically, at the end, the reporter was like, I don't know what the truth is, and likely no one ever will. And then I have one more quote from Jeff, because he's just got some fucking golden quotes. We're gonna leave you with this. Quote, "Of course I know what I am, and you're not going to get to know. And you're only gridged."
It must be a British.
It's a word that means disappointed. You're only disappointed because I won't tell you. I might let you see me sometime, but thou wilt never get to know what I am. End quote.
How vague.
And that's my whole thing with, like, I don't think that this young girl was ventriloquizing. What is the verb of ventriloquizing?
Ventriloquising.
Like, I just can't see a young girl saying shit like that, I guess.
I don't know.
You're
I don't
a
know.
teacher. Dude,
I could see it. Kids say some weird shit, dude.
that's our fun Jeff story for you that we brought here today.
That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever read in my life.